What official volleyball rules did legendary players bend? Imagine a game where players push the limits of what is officially allowed, making the sport more exciting and sometimes even changing how rules are written. Throughout volleyball history, some of the best players have tested the boundaries of the rules to gain an advantage. They did this while still staying close enough to the regulations to avoid penalties. Let's look at some of these clever moves. One of the most famous tactics involved reaching over the net. When volleyball rules were first written, players couldn't reach over the net to block or attack the ball. But in the 1960s, players learned they could reach across the net as long as they did not contact the ball before the attacker hit it. This became a key defensive move. Players would time their hands just over the net, reading the opponent's attack and blocking or deflecting without breaking the rules. This subtle trick became a skill that many teams used to their advantage. Another way players bent the rules was with back row attacking. Early rules said back row players could not spike the ball from in front of the attack line, which is 3 meters or 10 feet from the net. Over time, the rules changed to allow back row players to attack if they jumped from behind the attack line. Some players pushed this limit by jumping just inside the front zone after attacking, making it hard for referees to judge if they were legal. They timed their jumps perfectly to stay within the rules while still gaining an offensive edge. Screening on serve was another tactic players used before it was banned. In the 1950s, teammates could position themselves to block the receiver's view of the server, confusing opponents about where the serve was going. This was allowed at the time but was banned in the 1960s because it was seen as unfair. Before the ban, some players used this trick to gain free points on their serve, making it a sneaky advantage. Blocking rules also saw some bending. At first, crossing the net plane while blocking was a violation. But by 1966, players could extend their arms over the net without touching the ball, as long as they did not contact the opponent or the ball illegally. Some players used this to intimidate attackers, reaching over the net to block or influence play without penalty. Players also found ways to use their bodies creatively. In the early 1950s, rules allowed any part of the body to contact the ball. This led to creative digs and saves using feet, heads, or even shoulders in emergency plays. Players pushed the limits of what was considered skillful versus accidental contact, making the game more dynamic. Positioning during serve was another area where players bent the rules. Before strict rotation rules, players could stand anywhere on the court during the serve, as long as they followed the order. Skilled players used this to confuse opponents and disrupt their formation, gaining a strategic advantage. Finally, early substitution rules were restrictive. Some players and coaches timed substitutions carefully to keep their best players on the court longer or to tire out opponents. They exploited these rules until more modern substitution policies were put in place, allowing more flexibility. All these examples show how legendary volleyball players tested the edges of official rules. Their creative moves sometimes led to rule clarifications or updates, helping the sport grow and stay fair. Understanding these moments in history helps us see how the game has evolved while still honoring the spirit of competition.